I want to say it's my distinct pleasure and privilege to introduce and welcome Mr. Ramos-Horta, because he's, amongst many other things, he's a chairperson of the Ubuntu United Nations. Mr. José Ramos-Horta was an active defender of the people of East Timor. After his country's exile of almost 3 decades, in 1996, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his work for a just and peaceful solution to the conflict in East Timor and for fighting for the human rights of East Timorese. He assumed the position of senior minister in the new government and then later was prime minister and finally president of East Timor. And his leadership and expertise led East Timor to a new era of peace and reconciliation and economic growth. And today, he's one of the true peace builders in the world. It is my pleasure to welcome him, the president of Ubuntu United Nations, as he continues to carry and bring us messages of hope and of peace in our own countries and across the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Mr. Ramos-Horta.
Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you, John. Thank you, Rui Marquez. Thank everybody in the Secretariat, in the organization that is making this possible. I'm speaking to you from Dili, Timor-Leste, in the Far East, at the edge of the world. Evening time here, already past 9 p.m. But it's a great pleasure to have a listen to some of you, particularly to Her Royal Highness Princess Rim. What a eloquent speaker, and not only from her mind, her intellect, but particularly from her heart. And I'm glad I linked in early to be able to have heard you, Princess Rim. And my warmest regards to all of you from across the globe for joining this forum, Ubuntu United Nations. I'm really very much a part of the UN because I first went to New York, the United Nations, age 25, having never been to the UN, never been to New York, never seen snow in my life. I went from tropical Timor and straight to New York. There was no cultural transition from my village to New York, and went straight to address the UN Security Council. I think I'm still the youngest person ever to address the UN Security Council. And over the years, I learned the good and the bad, or the useless of the UN. But the UN, when I say the UN, is not the UN as a principle, as a concept, the Secretariat, but the powers that be. You know, we are all members of the UN, particularly the member states. And the P5 in particular, but also the other 10 non-permanent members, but then others who are not in the Security Council but carry enormous power, like India, Japan, Indonesia, and many others. So I literally grew and aged with the United Nations, and then served with the UN when Ban Ki-moon was elected Secretary General, and then I finished my term of office as President of Timor-Leste, and Ban Ki-moon invited me first to serve the UN in West Africa, Guinea-Bissau, as head of the integrated peace-building mission in Guinea-Bissau. Later, he invited me to be chair of the high-level panel on UN peace operations, to review all the UN peace operations around the globe from doctrine and operational aspects of it. And then Antonio Guterres, Secretary General, invited me to be member of the board on mediation 2017-2019. And I have the greatest respect for those who serve the UN, for the sacrifices they are making in so many conflict situations and around the world right now, like in Yemen, in Syria, Libya, and so on, and Afghanistan, and today I would like to to share with you a current engagement I'm involved with, and that is the Human Fraternity Award, and that was created following the historic encounter between Pope Francisco and the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar Mosque, Professor Ahmed Al-Tayeb, when they met a historical meeting in February 2019. His Holiness Pope John Paul II and Professor Ahmed Al-Tayeb, Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, met in the Emirates, and then created this initiative for human fraternity. And I was invited recently to be a member of the jury. So on 6th, 7th, 8th of October, I was in Rome with other members of the judging committee of the Zayed Award for Human Fraternity. And the judging committee includes a former president of Niger, President Mahamadou Yusufu, former deputy president of South Africa and former UN Under-Secretary General Phumzile Mambo and Kuka, Under-Secretary General for Migrant Refugees of the Holy See, Cardinal Michael Czerny, and President of Aladdin Project, Leah Pizar, and the Secretary General of the Higher Committee on Human Fraternity, Judge Mohammed Abdullah Salan. Pope Francisco went to the Emirates to participate in the interreligious dialogue that took place there, and that was historical. It was the first time the Pope went to the Arabian Peninsula, and then they issued this document called Document on Human Fraternity. You might be able to access it. It is an extraordinary document that I would say as historic, as in-depth as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and maybe going beyond that. And I personally hope that my own country, and hope that other countries, other governments will eventually adopt it as a national declaration, a national statement, and then make it available in school curriculum. Because upon reading the document, you will realize how profound it is, signed by two of the greatest spiritual religious leaders of the world, and that among them they are leaders of the more than 2 billion people who follow the Islamic and the religious faith. And I'm being a former president, being of Timor-Leste, I feel particularly connected because we are predominantly Catholic country, 98%. We have a small Muslim community and a Protestant community. And our giant neighbor, Indonesia, has the largest Muslim majority in the world. And we were in conflict before for 24 years. Too many of our people died in the conflict. But today, not only we have a exceptionally successful relationship with Indonesia, but we also, one of the greatest success of our own country is in national healing, national reconciliation, reconciliation. Precisely the essence of Mandela's legacy, Mandela's message. And I met Mandela a number of times in South Africa. The first time was in '95. I was unknown at the time. I was only known to some ANC comrades. And when I arrived in South Africa, nothing had been organized for me to do anything because it was a bit chaotic, a bit typical of the ANC. My comrades, they were too busy. And they pretended to get people to come to see me. I said, listen, yeah, but I want to see Mandela. But Mandela was in hospital. I didn't know he was in hospital. And I kept telling people there, I said, listen, I'm not leaving until I see Mandela. And they said, well, it's going to be very difficult. I say, okay, no problem. I have plenty the whole time of the world. I can wait here for a few months if necessary. Well, after 2 weeks, a phone call came in from the office of Mandela. Mandela was ready to see me. Well, I rushed to his residence, 2 hours away, full speed. They took me straight up to the first floor of his residence and took me to his bedroom. And I walked into the bedroom. There Mandela was in bed. And but of course he was awake. And he looked at me and he said, oh, you are the one who wanted to see me. You said you wouldn't leave until you see me. And he said, well, as you can see, I'm in bed. I just came out of hospital. He had a knee operation. And so he came out a few hours before. So the doctors still put him in bed. So we met. He was in bed. I was sitting on a chair near him, and we chatted for an hour until the doctor told me that I have to leave. And anyway, I will stop here. I will not go into details, why I insisted so much in seeing Mandela. This only to say the greatness of the man. I was an unknown entity. He heard this young man from East Timor insisting so badly to see him. And and he said, I'm sorry I kept you waiting, and you must be busy working for your people. And that's why he said, I decided to see you right away. I left hospital. So anyway, this is only to share the story of a great leader with great humanity, great humility. I had not received the Nobel Peace Prize. Mandela had never met him. And so I try as much as I can to live by the legacy of Mandela. Be accessible to the simple people, to the poor people, to the forgotten, to the neglected. Use the power that each of us may have, whatever power we may have, to do good. To those who are on the periphery of privileges, on the periphery of fate, of fortune, of well-being, to improve conditions of peace, of tranquility in our respective communities, and improve the well-being of the people we are to serve. So that's my message to you. Unlike Rim, who is very disciplined and prepare her speech, I didn't prepare anything. I've been so busy, and as I listened to Rim, I said, oh God, look at the way she's so eloquent, so disciplined, she prepared, and I'm here giving you a rambling speech, so I better stop here. So I hand over back to you, Moses.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for sharing with us your story. I was taking notes, and I think what you did, you brought the concepts of interfaith and intercultural dialogue, building bridges. When you spoke of the Human Fraternity Award, something that we need to look towards, and the context that you gave in East Timor with the religious populations and your neighbor, and how you have created the stability and the journey that you have walked. And you also spoke to us and you challenged us on the legacy of Mandela, of the need to be accessible, and you gave that especially with your story that you hadn't won this prestigious Nobel Peace Prize award, but still Mandela understood and took time to meet you and in the discussion that we had. And you also challenged, because on this platform, Your Excellency, we've got young leaders from different countries who have potential and also are leading in their communities, but we have potential to do greater. And this is something that you said, that you use your power to do good. And I believe this is one of the things that we are also going to be carrying. So, Your Excellency, there was a session where there were questions were invited for you, so that you can share with us your wisdom. And these are some of the questions. I'll start. There are 3 questions. Time permitting, we'll go through all of them. But I'll start with a question which comes from the African continent, from the Ivory Coast, and it's coming from Adam Yeo. Adam says, how do I become a peacemaker as a youth leader? What do I need to do? How do I start? You mentioned that you started when you were 25 feet of speaking to the UN Security Council. So this young leader is asking, where do I start?
Well, I have to say it was idealism, innocent romanticism about freedom, about independence. None of us, and I have to say me and my compatriots at the time, had really much idea about a struggle, about armed struggle or political struggle. The Portuguese colonial empire was collapsing, and the process of decolonization of Timor-Leste and the Portuguese colonies in Africa started. But then Indonesia intervened on December 7, 1975. I was sent to New York with the 2 other compatriots. They went elsewhere. I went to New York to lobby the United Nations. Well, I had this sacred mission from my compatriots, my colleagues in the leadership, to go to New York. I had never been there. But in New York, I had support from the newly independent government of Mozambique. I had support from the then Tanzanian ambassador to the United Nations, Salim. He's still there in Tanzania. I know. I see him time to time. He's one of my idols. He was very supportive of us. Of course, at the time, South Africa was not yet free from apartheid, so we couldn't. But Zimbabwe, after Zimbabwe became independent, from a minority regime, in the early years of Mugabe's government, we also had support from Zimbabwe and many African countries, but particularly Portugal. Portugal, the colonial power, never gave up its responsibilities to Timor-Leste, and much thanks to Portuguese governments, successive governments, presidents' integrity and courage, that we are today free, because they played a crucial role in supporting us diplomatically, mobilizing the European Union, for instance. So sometimes, history imposed on us, to do something, and the circumstances impose on us. Our best dreams or best plans, do not turn out as we thought. The invasion took place, violence happened. I lost two brothers, a sister in this struggle. The sister, we recovered her body. The 2 brothers, till today, we haven't found where they were killed. We haven't found their remains. And that's the story of so many other Timorese. Almost no family was untouched in this country. So my point is, stay focused on your dream, on your ambition, on your ideals. Equip yourself with information, with knowledge. But particularly stay focused, stay obsessively focused. Don't get distracted, don't get all over the place. You set the goal and increasingly inform yourself, increasingly try to master the tools that can support your cause. In nowadays, 21st century information technology, with digitalization, globalization, is so much easier. A single person, as young as maybe 7 years old, 9 years old, 11, you can have incredible influence. Compare this with 75 when I first went to New York. So you just need to be focused and super smart, and you become powerful. You have millions, behind you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. And because of time, we're not going to the other questions. But just from what you spoke, I think it also answers some of the questions we had. Staying obsessively focused, staying informed, and also the support structure that you shared with us that also helped in the struggle for East Timor, the different diplomatic missions that supported you. And these are very critical lessons given the theme that we have today, which speaks on building bridges.